Friends, guess what arrived at my doorstep here on this beautiful Saturday morning? Yes, Viseart came through again. A huge thank you to the PR team for sending these two beautiful palettes that I actually ordered. And as always, once they arrive, giveaway. I was impatient, but I should have poured more trust in Viseart, knowing that they will have these beautiful gems on the way to me. It's all good because there was limited edition. I didn't want to take a chance, and my gosh, when I saw both the Sireneuse and Violette Nocturne palettes, it was a wrap. Check out. So I wanted to go through these two, and my apologies if this video feels rushed. I have something to film at 1, but I wanted to grab footage here at home before I get to Bae's house. Introducing Sireneuse Nocturne and Violette Nocturne Tendu palettes. The Tendu series, in terms of how the palettes were designed instead of the tri-flap that we see here in the original Violette Tendu palette, we are now into the standard flap. No mirror, but we do have the easel design that you can bend. I know it might be a little tricky. So you have the grooves here and can prop the palette as such, very artist-like, you know. But a few details, again, I had mentioned that these are limited releases. So if you're unsure and you don't want to be disappointed, because this is what happened to me last Black Friday, where Praline and Lilas released. I didn't know they were Black Friday exclusives, and when they were gone, they were gone. But Viseart had mercy on us and decided to re-release Praline and Lilas, and that's when I grabbed Lilas. And I'm not entirely sure if that will happen again with Sireneuse and Violette Nocturne, so we shall see. They both retail for $44 USD, and Viseart did post on their IG to say that they will not be included in any future promotions Viseart might hold on their website. So if you're waiting for these to go on sale, I think they noted that they might not. But everything else will. So if you had your eye on other palettes, perhaps this will be the opportunity. Let's start with Sireneuse Nocturne Tendu. Born of Tempest-wrought dreams, Sireneuse Nocturne Tendu sails on starlit seas of maritime matte and duochromatic depth. Sireneuse Nocturne is a sea-spun spell of silk, smoke, and shimmer. The minute I saw this palette online, I was like, this is what I wanted the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Nature palette to be like. I don't have that palette. I didn't buy it, but I did read online that people in general were not pleased, disappointed with the shimmers in that palette. They weren't as sparkly as previously released palettes from Makeup by Mario, but this is what I wanted: the grungier, smokier, just more muted delivery of these earthy tones, right? It's kind of like a warmer version of Mineralscapes, if I may. That definitely has more of the hazy, smoky olives and sky blues. But my goodness, Sireneuse Nocturne, well, let me just say, the Sireneuse Tendu palette, by far one of my most favorite Viseart palettes they have ever released. The color curation is just breathtaking, and I couldn't ask for a better edit collection of both Daily Haze and Smoky Magic, because the colors they chose and the textures in that palette just are beyond me. And to now have the Nocturne version, we'll get into the comparisons, brief ones again, because I'm fighting against time. And now we have Violette Nocturne Tendu, a violet legacy born in nocturnal midnight bloom, inspired by Paris on the cusp of winter. Violette Nocturne Tendu summons moon-kissed plums, noir-stained mulberries, and silken moss. Smoke, shadow, and myth unfurl in every shade. This is now 1 out of 3 from the Violette series in Viseart, because first we had the original Violette, then we had Violette Vespertine, and now we have Violette Nocturne. If you are a Violette enthusiast, I'm sure you couldn't stay away. Now that you saw those swatches in actions and we covered the details, I would love to get into these eye demos. Now, I know I usually go through swatches one by one, as we like to see, but this is where I'll probably refer to them as we go through the demo, so it could be a little faster. Thank you so much for understanding. It's time for you to come in a little closer. We must get into Sireneuse Nocturne first, and here is another close-up of the palette, it appears that Sireneuse Nocturne has a lot more metallic and shimmer going on, which I love because the original palette actually has a lot of metallics and shimmers too. So here is the first Sireneuse. Underneath you have Nocturne. Funny, I would probably have considered this one to be Nocturne, maybe because the inclusion of that midnight sparkly blue, but I think they both complement each other well. You see that Nocturne might be a little more muted, and we have olives. This is probably the closest I'm gonna get to an all olive inspired palette from Viseart. I'm fine with that. We have not only this olive matte, but we have this gold metallic and this beautiful antique gold here that is named Sirene, and it's this one here. This is the swatch here, beautifully shiny. This is the olive, I believe, that is called Nautilus. And Sirene, I'm sorry, I didn't have an opportunity to practice my French before filming. Please have mercy on me in the comments, but you could help me with the pronunciation in the comments. I would appreciate that immensely. That is the more hardy gold here. So that's a beautiful antique shade that I cannot wait to see all over the lid. I'll be using the Sonia G Essentials mini eye set that I would have already have uploaded. So if you want to check that video out at length, going over each and every brush, please enjoy. I'll see you over there after you finish watching this one. I've already prepped the lids with my Linda Hallberg Till the End primer, and I'm going in with the olive. I'm sorry, I can't wait. I need to see how this performs, and I'm using Sonia's soft blender. This is quite a large brush, but it is meant to, oh my, it's meant to leave behind a soft diffused finish, but I'm already just head over heels over the color consistency. It looks olive in the pan, is gonna look olive on the eyes, okay? That is something that Viseart is consistent with. Their color science is out of this world, and I have to say, if all of my palettes, except Viseart, just evaporated, I would be happy with my Viseart palettes. I know, and I have tons of favorites from different brands, okay? Bibliophilia from Byredo, Motherships from Pat McGrath Labs, Natasha Denona. But if all those disappeared, I'm telling you, and I just had these left, I would be happy. I'll be fine, because my goodness, I just couldn't ask for a better olive. And it's nice because it's on the muted side. You can still detect that green, but it's soft, and ooh-wee, I am in love. Let's see another one of these mattes, because actually in the original, we have like this muted salmon, the dark brown, and these lighter shades that didn't have the most impact on my complexion. But maybe we can try this shade here that's named I'm just gonna put it up next to me. That appears to be more of a rose, but we also have Echo, which is more of, I think it's this one here. I hope so. These names are all over the place. That appears to be more of like a soft caramel. You know what? I'm going in with the rose because I'm interested to see how this appears on my lid. Not too bad. That's on the softer side. It's going to provide a little bit of haze to the crease, but will be a nice setup for a darker shade if we wish to go in with that. Definitely now using my finger to pick up this antique gold shade, because this is tighter in the pan. You will find that some metallics from Viseart have a little bit of tightness on the pickup, and they feel on the slightly drier side, but that leaves behind the most beautiful sparkle effect, I think, on the lid. And now with Target Builder, picking up that same shade and just refining the application here so it can be more precise in and under the crease. I would like to now follow up with the lighter antique shade, and this is a softer shimmer. It's not going to have, I know the word grit has poor implications, but it doesn't feel as smooth as the first shade we applied on the lid, but it does have more of, you see that traditional shimmer effect, which I think lovely on the inner corner. And just to invite another shade, I think it'll be fun. Where is my little definer? Hello? Oh my, I lost my little definer. It's around here somewhere. I was in a rush putting everything away when I filmed with these brushes, and sometimes when I rush, I don't pay attention. So it's laughing at me. I don't know where I put her. Where did she go? Let's go in with this softer coral shimmer that has a similar texture to the green we applied on the inner corner for highlight. And I think this is a nice contrast here because we went super olive on the majority of the eye, and now we have like this coral rose gold effect going on. And I would like to follow up with the olive matte again so it can take over a good portion of my lower lash line. And now I just want to invite a touch of smoke, just a touch, going in with this dark brown and lightly dusting from the very edge of my lash line. This is to control the level of smoke, as I don't want it to completely take over my outer lid. I want mostly that olive to dominate that part of my eye so as to not cover it up, but oof, this is exactly what I wanted. Just a little bit of haze emerging from the lash line and then coming into that lovely serving of olive. Thank you very much. And now off to the second eye that we started. But let's see actually what happens if we add this second medium shade. And don't know, yeah, this is what I expected. It's not going to have much distinction if you apply it with that first rose that we did. So I'll go in now with a heartier serving of that dark brown, as I want to be more deliberate with the smoking out. So you see I'm punching on a lot more and covering a larger portion of my outer lid. And this is the compact crease, which I just gushed over in my Sonia G video. I enjoy how it can lay down color evenly on the outer lid and still smooth out that application through the crease. And I can now follow up with my soft blender and could also blend out the edges with these softer shades. So I could go in with this shade, for instance. It's a super beigey taupe. I kicked off the excess because I don't want to cover the edges. I just want to soften them. And this is what we can get from our soft blender. And now following up with that dark brown shade down on the outer quarter. Well, starting off outer corner, it might actually migrate closer to the inner, but we shall see how that works out. And now let's just refine the edges of that application. I cannot decide what I want on the lid. Let's see. Ooh, you know what? I gotta go in with this shade. This shade is right here. This sparkly dark taupe. Again with my, do I want to do a fingertip application? Actually, let me go in with Target Builder. Let's start with Target Builder. And this has a lot more texture than, let's say, the smoother shimmer. So you might want to use like Mother's Intensifies wand or something with a little more tack. And also maybe just a fingertip application, because the warmth from your finger, I think, will better help these pigments adhere to the skin so they don't crumble off. There's a little bit of a crumble going on, but I forgive it because it's Viseart. You just kind of have to strategize and choose the right approach to take advantage of this texture. Now, I would definitely redo this eye again and prep the lid with intensifiers. This texture one here, this shadow here, needs a little more stick in my opinion. Totally fine, I could work with it. But I actually want to follow up with this shade here. It's like a A muted mauve duochrome is one here, and that is going through the inner arc. Something I like to do in just introducing another shade entirely, not have it on the lid inner corner or lower inner corner, but as like an arc accent here. And of course, going in with our highlight shade, this is your light champagne. We have it here. I think will serve us well in providing some highlight. Oh, this is where I wish I had my little definer brush. I cannot figure out, I think I might know where it is actually. I might have tossed it in with the rest of my Sonia G brushes, but it's all good. We're gonna figure it out. And as I suspected, well, actually, let's take the olive matte and use this as our lower lash line matte of choice. I think introducing, oh boy, that's looking a little hazy, but it's fine. Another color under the lash line is fun to do if you want to use as many shadows as possible at once. And now soft blender just to diffuse the edges. Yes, okay. All right, everyone, let's apply these lashes and I'll be right back. Here are our close-ups using Sireneuse Nocturne, and I have to say, between the two, I feel that the original Nocturne has more one and done metallic shimmer colors than Nocturne. However, the olive though, the olive is what gets me, and I know that is not a practical decision to just buy a palette for the sake of one shadow. But between the two, you can see that surprisingly, the original, I think, provides a little more depth just by default, because you have this duochrome that's not necessarily dark, but because I think of that more reflective finish versus the one here, this one is lighter than the one found in the original, right? In my opinion, a little, I guess by a little bit, maybe they're the same, don't mind me. But the bronzes here, I feel provide more hazy one and done looks. And you got this midnight teal, like, I think it's the matte base with the blue sparkle in there. You have this hardy, deep espresso metallic. And between the browns, actually, I guess you could say, yeah, the one from Nocturne is deeper than the one found in the original. So it makes sense that this one is in Nocturne and this one is in the original. I have to play with it a little bit more because I'm only giving it 2 looks in this video, and I do plan on hopping back on for a short and providing more looks. I have to get more familiar with it. This is a first impressions, but just off the gate, I love it because of the olive. Look at this eye. This could be, dare I say, I know it's not exactly like Unexplored Garden, but kind of. Unexplored Garden has more of like more cool muted tones, and it also has that overlay shade that resembles, I keep forgetting this name of shade, Mothership 5 Bronze Seduction with that teal flip. So you're gonna get more like antique, a little warmer of an olive story from Sireneuse Nocturne compared to Unexplored Garden. And in my opinion, Viseart shadows I think are better performing than YSL ones. Not the YSL ones aren't good, they're just softer, and I don't think they have as much color payoff as the Viseart ones, and they don't last as long. I mean, they're soft. I love them both. They complement each other. And remember, my apologies for not mentioning this when covering the details of the palettes, that they are magnetic. The frame's magnetic. You can see you have grooves here throughout. Easy to pop out and in. And you can mix and match both Sireneuse tendu palettes as you like and customize it. But those are my, again, initial first impression thoughts. I think I have to familiarize myself with the metallics and kind of see what one and done looks I can achieve with Nocturne versus the first. But listen, this is kind of what I wanted from Makeup by Mario, because I just remember I wish to have seen a matte olive in that color story, and I have it here alongside the other earthy tones, but not being completely overwhelmed with browns. There were just like a few nature-like shades in that palette and a ton of browns. Yes, we have the brown tones here, but they're not dominating the palette. We just got these guys here. And then you got the dark brown, that's your smoky shade. And the rest are the one and dones, the accent shimmers and metallics, the duochromes or what have you. So let's take this off, hop into Violette Nocturne, do quick comparisons between the original and Vespertine, and I'll be back here after taking this off. See you in a bit. Good news. I found the little definer, and yes, as I had said, tossed it in with the rest of my Sona G, went in a frenzy of cleaning, but now we're hopping into Violette Nocturne. Let's take another closer look. I just adore these shades. Now, compared, well, hold on, let me not get ahead of myself and stick to the outline. Let's get into the looks first. And I had to film a IG Live and IG Live grammar, so I had to wipe off the swatches, but happy to quickly swatch here and there if you need. I wanted to get into the dark mauves, or even this one here. Oh yeah, the greens. I did the greens again off camera. I want to get into this color, and of course hopping in with my soft blender, making sure I'm wiping the brush. With which one did I just swatch? I think it was this one. Let's take this all over the lid and set up our first, oh my, I should have known, but we'll haze it out, we'll diffuse it out, and this can be just the one and done. Now, I do have Lilas on standby because I do consider that to be a part of the Violette inspo category, if you will. My oh my, that is... woo! What do I want to go in with next? I think I want to see maybe this lighter shade in action. It's kind of giving lilac. Yeah, it's giving lilac, which is totally fine. This would be probably our first shade to set up a smokier look. I mean, I don't know how smoky we could go. We got that deep aubergine on the corner here, so perhaps I'll use that to create some nice smoke on the outer lid, but I want to see this shade on the lid. Isn't that just gorgeous? It's a duochrome and it's on the drier side, but I'll go in with a finger, and this is what I would like to go on the first eye. Eee! It definitely has a little bit of iciness to it, but you can see the magenta pearl in there. And again, it's tighter in the pan, so you'll have to use a brush and wiggle back and forth. You can use a stiffer brush because Sonia has a ton of builder types in her collection that might be better suited for this pickup, but Target Builder's doing it. She's doing just fine. And now on the inner corner, this is actually where we have more mattes than shimmers and metallics, that like what's found in Violette, excuse me, I'm switching names again, Sireneuse Nocturne. But I think we'll go in with this icy, it's kind of like the Transformer shade, right? You got like that white base with the pink flip, and that will be our inner corner highlight of choice. Oh, why not? Let's use the little definer. I say little definer, it's just the definer. And I'll toss that inner corner as well as the lower inner lash line. So it almost has, which I know hard to pick up on camera, I'll have to zoom in closer, but it has like that neon pink flip to the effect, which I think lovely. And my goodness, I forgot what shade I applied. I think it was this matte. Oh, I can't remember. But placing that on the lower lash line here. Oh my goodness, the sun is coming out and it's affecting my lighting, but that's fine. I actually want to introduce the aubergine here, not like how I would want it to appear on our second eye, but this is going to just be a light lash smoke out, running definer over the lash line here. Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. And let's grab compact crease because I want to kind of refine what we have here on the outer corner. I'm just punching in that matte and combining what we have on the lower lash line here. Ooh, I like what's happening. Oh, that's pretty. Ooh. Okay, aubergine, dipping into this color here, right? So that's the darkest matte out of the palette. And now beginning to take it smoky okie dokie, punching from the lash line, moving up through the crease, tossing it in, and just ensuring that I'm shaping it to how I want it to look. Oh boy. They kind of look the same. I think it might be hard to distinguish which shadow I use, but if you were to see me in person, I think you'll be able to detect a little more eggplant from this matte versus here is a little more muted. There's a little more gray in that matte, but not to worry. We're just working it. And I think I would love to go in with this metallic. This has a beautiful taupe base and just outrageous shine. It is lovely. So I'll start off with a finger application just to get the majority of the lid going. Ooh, nice and creamy, has nice adherence. Following up with Target Builder, however, as I want to concentrate a more precise application here in the, or I should say on the inner arc, just tapping around. Cool. And actually I would like to see how this pastel lilac fares as an inner corner highlight. Not bad. Just gently tap here, overlapping with that metallic application we have on the lid, and actually bringing a little bit here on the lower inner corner. Whoa. Okay, so I'll pick something lighter to, oh, a little bit more, gotta wipe off that lilac. A little lighter to place under the lash line here. I think actually taking a little bit of the eggplant. I'm calling it eggplant, but it might have a completely different description on the website, which again, failed to check before I started filming. It's okay. Just taking soft blender to soften the edges here of that application, but for the most part I think we're done. All right, let's slap on these lashes and I'll be right back. Violette Nocturne demos are complete, and I think you saw how fast this can get smoky, and I have the remaining Violette palettes on standby because if you actually have the original and Vespertine, figuring out if this one would be for you. I have Lilas as well. Oh, let me grab it. I would say Violette Nocturne is pretty muted. It's muted. It's not as bright as the original Violette. Let me take the cover off. The original Violette that you see here with the magenta, I think this is more of like a purple lover palette versus Nocturne. You like the purples, but a little more smoky and muted. This is very grunge here on this side. Whereas the original Violette, I still think a standout favorite for Viseart enthusiasts because you have duochromes in here. You have the warmer hued mauves at the top, but you also have this magenta violet to add a little more vibrancy to your looks, as well as these duochromes that are just a little more punchy in terms of the color. Now with Vespertine, Vespertine is wine, and you could immediately detect that, I think, off the bat. Let me grab Nocturne here. So we got Nocturne on the same side, but now Vespertine, you have the more wine burgundy hues found in the metallic here. This, I feel, is not as eggplant-ish. In my opinion, this has a little more plum in it versus the one found in Vespertine. And again, the more medium tones lean a little more warm. The metallics, you have 5 instead of just 3. We're only looking at 3 shimmer metallics in Vespertine, excuse me, names Violette Nocturne versus 5 in Vespertine versus 4 in the original Violette, and now we have Lilas. Lilas is not a part of the Violette collection in Viseart, but I wanted to pair these side by side because definitely you could see more of a monochromatic violet moment in Nocturne versus Lilas being, dare I say, more neutral. Is interesting. I'm looking at this now compared to Violette Nocturne. Lilas, I think, is special because although named as such, it's more cool tone. It has like an ethereal feel to it in terms of the metallic choices in here, and some of the better performing metallics, in my opinion, from Viseart. I actually prefer the metallics from Lilas than I do from Violette Nocturne. These have a lot more shine. They have a lot more slip. I can actually just swatch one here. So this is from, this is from Lilas. In my opinion, these fall a little short. They're nice, especially the kind of duochrome here. You got the white base with the pink flip. You also have this fun duochrome here where I placed that shade on the center, and you probably saw from the close-up. From the close-up, it has like a glow quality about it, I think, on the lid. So it might not have the same amount of shine, but that duochrome effect, I think, lovely. And this shade here, again, I have to prep my lid with something tackier because I love the color, but this just has a little more texture where if the lid is dry, it's not going to adhere well. Same as what I found in Sireneuse Nocturne. This shade here, love how it looks in the swatch, but it has a little bit of crumb in there that if, again, it doesn't grab onto something, it's going to not stay on the lid. But once you found that primer, again, I will probably prep my lid with Mother's Intensifies to get more shine and adherence from that texture specifically. But looking at all these violet palettes, again, I know we're trying to budget and not get pulled in by all these releases, so I'm just trying to make a sound recommendation. Truly, if you have Violette, the original, or Vespertine, you don't need Nocturne, because I think those are beautiful palettes, and at the end of the day, I don't think anyone is going to be able to distinguish one from the other, right? Are they going to look at your eyes and say, that's Vespertine, that's Violette Nocturne? I don't think so, but if they do, wow, I'm impressed. It really comes down to, and hopefully the swatches helped, your skin tone and what you think is more favorable. Meaning, Nocturne has a lot of the lighter mattes, right? We got these two light mattes here that I know because of the exposure is hard to make out the undertone, but these kind of barely look like anything on me. I'll probably stick to these mattes for the more medium tone shades, whereas Vespertine, we only have this light matte. This is still light, kind of does a little more than what's found in Nocturne for that second light beige matte, but we got some nice dark mauve wines for the mattes here, as well as the metallics. And the original Violette, you have this lilac here that I think, is it more muted? Let me see. This is the original lilac from original Violette, and this is the one from Nocturne. The one from Nocturne has a little more pink in there, and that's the shade that I applied on the inner corner. Listen, I know this shade is beautiful. I love that metallic shade on the lid, and Lilas doesn't have a duochrome in there. It just has those high shine metallic finishes that I absolutely adore, but I get it if you're wooed by that shade. This shade on the lid, it's pretty. I know it's tough. I know. Listen, I'm just gonna leave it there. If you having a hard time choosing, I completely understand. But sure, you can argue that if you had original Violette, Violette Vespertine, even Cashmere, Charmeuse, the original Cashmere, Lilas, if you have Lilas, they're beautiful palettes. And of course, Violette Nocturne, I can definitely make an argument for it. I do think if you're medium tan like me, I'm not gonna get as much from the matte as I do from original Violette and Violette Vespertine. But I do love the duochromes here. And you know, I know again, $44 for just one shade. Probably have this going on in another palette. I'm sure we've seen this shade before. I can't quite pinpoint from where I've seen it brand wise and product wise, but sound off below. I would love to know your thoughts, because some of you describe color stories and textures in the most beautiful manner that I sometimes can't articulate, and I think is helpful to our friends too. If how you describe a certain color story or texture might align more with how they understand color and texture. Maybe you are of a similar skin tone to someone who's not a similar skin tone to me, but you're like, listen, when I wear it, this happens. Blah, blah. So would love for you to have your input down below. And again, a huge thank you to Viseart for sending these palettes. It is always a delightful surprise to receive a gift from that brand, and I enjoyed these palettes. If I had to choose one out of the two, I know I'm like going off on tangents, I would actually pick Sireneuse Nocturne. I think it's more interesting of a color story to me compared to Violette Nocturne. Again, it's that gosh darn olive that got me, man. I can't help it. I'm a sucker for olives, like well formulated matte olives. And the rest of the metallics here, we're looking at 6 shimmer metallics. So if you're more into those formulas, you'll definitely get more shimmers and metallics from Sireneuse Nocturne than you'll get from Violette Nocturne. And you can't go wrong with this color story. I mean, you got some one and dones in here, you got nice smoke potential, you have the opportunity to create more of an monochromatic olive eye look, or you could stick more to like the rose type matte with the bronzy rose gold metallics in here. So I would pick Sireneuse Nocturne. I think is a more interesting color story in my opinion, where Violette Nocturne is beautiful, but it's definitely more streamlined, more monochromatic. If you don't like olive at all, then the choice is easy on your part. But again, would love to know down below what you think of these two, what you would choose, what you have in the rest of your collection, and how you would decide whether you'll go with Sireneuse Nocturne or Violette Nocturne, or neither. And if you made it this far, make sure you like this video by clicking that thumbs up. It helps me immensely in letting YouTube know that I'm actually fun to watch, and will now recommend my videos to other Viseart enthusiasts such as yourself. And consider subscribing, because I'll be back on here with more shorts, maybe another long form video. You'll let me know what I should do down below, and you'll know when those videos drop immediately, especially when you click that notification bell. And friend, if you are returning, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for hanging out. But if it's your first time here, please stay, peruse some more. Maybe I'll see you in this video here. I'll definitely see you down in the comments for this one, and on here again next time.